We're going to give it just a minute for everyone to join, and then we'll kick off. Okay, let's get started. Hi, everyone, and welcome to this month's webinar. It's really great to have you all with us. Every month, we come together to unpack what's new from Microsoft, explore industry trends, and talk about how technology can help your business stay ahead. So just a quick reminder before we dive in, this webinar is being recorded, so you'll be able to revisit it later or even share it with your teams. And as always, the Q&A is open throughout the session, so feel free to drop your questions in the chat, and we'll tackle as many of those before we wrap up. So let's get straight into it. Today, we're talking about something that's getting a lot of attention, and that's AI in Microsoft Dynamics 365. There's really so much excitement around AI right now, and also a lot of, okay, but how does this actually work for me? And that's what we're going to unpack today, how AI is being built into Dynamics 365 to help you connect with customers in smarter, more meaningful ways. We'll explore what's new across marketing, sales, and customer service, and how AI is quickly becoming that coworker who actually makes your life easier. And we all want that, right? So before we jump into the main session, let's start with a quick poll to get to know you a little bit better. It'll appear on your screen, and then you can tell us where you are in your Dynamics 365 and AI journey. Okay, you'll get it on your screen. So whether you're completely new to Dynamics or just curious about what's new in AI today, our session will give you a clear picture of what's possible and how it can make a real difference in your business. And to guide us through it, we're joined by Roger Strain, one of our account executives here at Mint Group. Roger's life's work and real passion is all about creating exceptional clients and employee experiences. He's a seasoned professional in the business application space, and he's been helping organizations unlock the full potential of Microsoft Dynamics for years. Roger, we're thrilled to have you with us. Please take it away.
Thank you, Sageshni, and hello, everyone. Good to see some familiar faces and also some new ones here. Yeah, so we're going to dive straight into some demos, and we're going to basically follow a journey of a typical customer through a normal business. And this slide kind of is, I think, one of three that I'm going to share. The rest is all really going to be demos. And it really starts with the customer. And typically what we're wanting to do is to get new customers, prospects. So we do some marketing. We do some outreach. It might be something like this event that you guys are attending. And then what happens is, if there's interest from that marketing, typically this gets into our sales team. And our sales team is there, obviously, to engage with those prospective customers, help them understand our offerings, and convince them ultimately that our products are right for them, and they become a customer. They buy from us. And finally, then, we make sure that as an existing customer, that we offer excellent customer service, that they stay with us and buy lots more products from us for a long time to come. And that very simply is the customer engagement that any business, no matter what area you're in, goes through with customers through your business. And that is very much the focus of the Dynamics 365 customer engagement aspects. So we're going to talk through this journey. I'm going to demo some scenarios that follow this customer journey through your business. And as Sugeshni mentioned, talk to not only the sort of basics of what customer engagement software does, like Dynamics 365, but how new AI features are really shifting that that capability. Okay, so I'm going to dive now into Dynamics. And as per that journey, we're going to start with the marketing side of things. So in Dynamics 365, that is the app called Customer Insights Journeys. And it starts with a journey. So I'm going to create a new journey for us here. So as a marketer, of course, what we really want to do is we want to reach out to new customers, existing customers, and try and get them interested in our products. And ultimately, this results in leads. So you'll notice that when I create a new journey, we've got our first Copilot. You're going to see many Copilots. And this one allows us in natural language to describe basically a journey that we want to create for customers or prospective customers. I'm going to just, for speed, select one of the sort of prompts that are pre-generated for me, where it says, I want to send a promotion targeting loyalty customers. And there's going to be a link click in that email. So what it's doing is already starting to generate a journey for me. It's asking me next, who do I want to target? So we might call this a segment. And what I'm going to do is just show you the AI features in full. So I'm going to create a new segment. And I'll say that we're going to call this loyalty customers. And in the query assist, I'm going to say we want to target spell it right, loyalty members gold level. And hopefully our AI can figure out what we're trying to say and help us to turn that into a query. And it's been successful in that. So I'm going to use this query. It's going to then bring it in as my segment. Of course, I can edit the segment. I can add from all of the rich sets of data that you can see we have in this particular CRM. We can amend this query. But I'm going to keep this quite simple and use that gold members of our loyalty scheme as our query that we're going to use here. And we're going to select that particular segment that we've just created. And I'm going to submit. And what you can see is that there is a customer journey that has been recommended by the AI. I'm going to just say create this journey. And this is now the customer journey in Customer Insights Journeys in Dynamics 365. And you can see the journey starts with that query to those loyalty customers. And then what it does is it sends an email. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the capabilities to actually create a quick email as well. So I'm going to say I want to create a new email. I will work with a template. And we've got some sort of Mint formatted templates in here amongst others. So I'm going to use a standard Mint one. And then starting with this particular template, what I can do is you can see on the top here, we've got all of the different elements of an email that we can create. So for example, I can add a text field. We can have multiple columns of text and lay it out as we like. But I'm going to add a text block here. And then I'm going to use Copilot again to generate a content idea for me. And this AI is basically then going to recommend based on these talking points or key points in a mail. These ones are being generated by information that we've given it about our business right up front, but we can go and change these. So we could go and change a talking point and say that this particular promotion we're doing is about something very specific. For this demo, I'm going to keep it simple and keep those key points. We can choose a tone, as you'd expect. And we can actually tick this box to generate ideas using previous mailers that we've sent. I'm going to simply select generate content ideas, and you'll see there's a few different ideas here. So we've got a few different versions of this mail. I'll take our first one and say accept this draft. I'll add it into our body here. I'm going to take the subject line of this and actually just put it up here in our mail subject. And then we can take out the word subject. We don't need that. Okay. And yeah, we can format this as we like. Change things like we can say here, the Mint crew. Okay. And then it actually works similarly with images. So for example, what you can do is, I think it is here. One of these options is to be able to, well, let me just show you. If I add a new image, for example, and I choose an image, you'll see that it's got suggested images at the top here. So again, this is based on previous examples that we've been using in some of our demos. And based on the content that we've got, it's going to recommend different images for us. And ultimately, we are going to be ready to complete our mailer. So I'm going to simply save that one. My email is called email 3, so I'll add that to my journey. And then we can use the mail in the journey. And as what you'll see in a second is there's a lot more we can do in these journeys. So let's add email 3 to our journey. You'll notice that this recommended journey that the AI then created also recommended that we check if there's an email link in that email that has been clicked. And what it then does is it says, if it has been clicked, gives us a left-hand side of this branch. And obviously, if no, then on this side of the branch. And what you'll notice is we've got a little action button, and we can add any of these actions in here. So for example, if somebody had clicked on that mail, we could send them a different email. For example, they might have clicked on a specific area of interest. We could send them a text message, a push notification in our app, for example. We have got capabilities in here to be able to add things like an A/B test. If you're a marketer, you know that you can test your mails and make sure that the optimal version goes out to most of your customers. We can do things like channel optimization through AI. So we can say if people are engaging on email versus mobile, we can adjust accordingly based on that particular target customer's preferences. We've got wait times and triggers and series and branches, all of the things that allow us to craft a really comprehensive journey that we can take our customer down. We might send out multiple communications over time. Based on the engagement we're getting, we might adjust and send people different information if they are particularly interested in a particular topic, or if they're not engaging, we might remind them. You'll see we can do things like generate phone calls. So if people are, for example, really engaging with us digitally, we might get one of our sellers, for example, one of our salespeople to actually give them a call. And really, there's a rich set of actions here that allows us to craft these journeys any way we like. So this is a really simple journey, but yeah, you can really make a comprehensive and long journey that it's really there to nurture your customers. Ultimately, what you would do in this digital engagement that you're crafting with these journeys is you'd have calls to actions. So links in those emails to landing pages. There's landing page capabilities in here that allow us to craft these and basically get customers to express their interest. We would then receive these as leads back in Dynamics. And really that's the real goal here of all of our marketing, is to engage these prospects and to ultimately generate leads, which we can then service in our sales efforts. So that brings us then on from marketing into sales. And actually, there are a few things I did want to just maybe show you on the marketing side before we move on. The one would be some of the analytics that we get around all this marketing engagement. Just going to save my journey there. Um, so, for example, we've got a series of reports that come with Dynamics Customer Insights journeys. One of these, for example, is analytics on all of our journeys. Let's just go a little bit back in time just to get a bit more data here. You'll see we've got all of our different journeys, the engagement rates, who's been engaging with us and who hasn't. We get a bit of a graphical view on how those journeys are looking, which channel we're getting engagement, any issues with those where we might have delivery failures or blocking, our open rates. So you can see here's a really great one with 25% open rate that we have here. And what I'm going to do is go to one of the journeys that has been getting a lot of engagement, which is this one here. We did for a particular demo for one of our clients. And by then clicking into one of those journeys, we get quite a lot more insights on that. So what you're going to see in a second is all of the engagement, who's been receiving these. So in this case, there's a very simple journey, but you can see the journey started and there were 4 people only included in this particular journey. What we can then do is click on, for example, the first mail that was sent. In this case, there is just the one, but you get the idea. It's going to give us the delivery rates and open rates. So we had 2 clicks, for example, on this. We can go into the detail as well and actually get real detail in terms of, for example, if we said we want all the unique clicks, we can actually get the detail of exactly what transpired. So these are leads. So these are people who clicked through to one of our forms, expressed an interest, and generated a lead. What I actually wanted to show you, and I can do it here, is back in Dynamics. If I go to one of the customers or contacts that I have saved for later, I've pinned it. And there's actually one of our colleagues who's been doing a lot of the testing for us. And the reason I wanted to show you this, if you're looking at a person in our CRM system, you can imagine the contact or person in a CRM is really important. Ultimately, this is the person that we're looking to sell to and get interest. And what you can see, among other things, is all of the marketing engagement. Again, let me just go back a little bit more in time, and you're going to see a little bit more engagement happening here. Let's try there. Okay. So at a person level, amongst all the other things we're going to be seeing about this person, in terms of our sales efforts and our customer service efforts that happen later, is the marketing efforts. And for example, you can see they've opened 4 emails, which is a 20% open rate. And if we click through, we can actually see the detail of these particular mails. So you can see there, I can actually click on to that particular mailer and see the content of the mail, what was sent, what they clicked on. So there's really a rich set of information. And this is very important. The next step, as you'll see in a second, is we're going to hand this over to our salesperson to come and deal with the prospects that have been engaging with us and that we're getting leads for. And they will have access to all of the information in terms of where they came from, in terms of the digital channels, what they were interested in, what they were clicking on. Okay. Pretty cool. All right. So the next step in that journey, if you think of that slide that I showed, we've generated some interest out of our marketing. These are leads. So the next step now is in our sales team. And this is Dynamics 365 Sales. And this is really now where the sales team picks up these leads and is able to progress them. We speak about qualification. So taking a lead and working out, is the customer really interested? Do they really have a need for our product? Are they in our target market? So these qualification steps are really important to be able to determine whether this is now worth our sales team's effort to progress the lead into what we might call an opportunity, and that it becomes part of our sales pipeline. And what you're seeing here is a dashboard. It's showing a pipeline view. This funnel view is telling me that right at the top of the funnel, I've got a lot of very early stage opportunities. In the qualify stage, further down, I've got much less opportunities that are likely to happen. They're in the proposed stage. So this is actually not great. What it's likely to happen is I'm going to have a real lumpy sales cycle where I'm going to suddenly have a spike of customers in a couple of months' time as these prospects mature. And then I'm going to have a big hole in my sales cycle again where I need to go and fill the top of the funnel once again. So this is what a salesperson and a sales manager would use to manage the cycle of these opportunities to make sure that we have a consistent attainment against our sales goals. This is another view of the similar information, and in this case, it's showing me my different sales opportunities. You're going to see them all at the bottom here. And this graphic shows you over the sales cycle. In my sales cycle, I've got different stages in the process. This is obviously configurable into your business. The size of these little bubbles shows me the size of the deal in revenue, and obviously where they are in terms of when they're most likely to happen. So I've got a lot of old deals that need updating here that are in the past. But I got one that is looking good for happening over here, which I can click on. And the opportunity is then going to show to me in the context of what I'm busy with. So this particular opportunity that you're going to see here is a financial plan for the Rani family. Okay, so this example is taken from a financial services example. You'll see I've got other examples from quite different industries in a minute. So we might have, for example, a financial advisor who's advising this Rani family. If you've been to see your financial broker, you'll know what this kind of meeting is about. I can go and open up this sales opportunity that we are looking at. And I mentioned qualification. So you'll actually notice at the top that there is what we call a business process flow on this. We're currently in the proposed stage, and there's a set of actions that the system is recommending we do, such as developing the proposal, for example, which we haven't done yet. But if we go back, you'll see if we go to the qualify stage on this, it's actually going to take me back to the lead. And the lead is, as I mentioned, what we might generate out of, for example, our marketing. So we might have a lead source that is from our website, for example, in this case. But leads can be generated through lots of other ways, as most of us know in our businesses. And so Patrick Rani originally contacted us through our website, and we captured his information. We assigned it to our sales team to progress. They follow the steps in this business process flow to confirm if indeed Patrick is a qualified lead. And this is what took it through the sales process to become an opportunity, which if we go back to that point in the business process flow, takes us back to where we were in the opportunity. And what we're going to then see is a series of steps. So you'll see this up next that you're seeing here in the middle of the screen. If I just scroll past my summary. These are configurable. You'll see I've got one here. This is a sequence, and this one says opportunity nurturing. We might have different sales sequences for different parts of our business or different types of customers or different types of sales opportunities. This one is telling us that the next thing to do is to call the customer. And we can just hit the call button. But what we can also do is, for example, snooze this or assign it to somebody else to do. We might mark it as complete. So this is optional, but it's really there to help your sales team keep track of what the next best thing to do is. You'll see there's other steps we can have, like send a thank you email. So if I click into this, it'll actually help me compose the email using all of our templates. It might have pre-planned sales material that we might want to share from a brochureware point of view, links to our website and that kind of thing. So these sequences are really helpful to really prompting our sellers in terms of what they should do next. You might notice a button on the left here called Sales Accelerator. what that actually does is it gives you the next step that you should be doing with each of your leads in the system. And it's prioritized based on AI in terms of what we call lead scoring. So the AI out of box will tell you based on how the data in the leads, and you tell it which fields it should be looking at, uh, based on your previous sales history, the likelihood of this particular lead to close based on AI and machine learning. So it's basically giving you the next step that should be done with the lead in order of priority of most probability. So that Sales Accelerator shows you your most likely deals that you should be working on next, and based on the sequence, the next thing to do. So that's really helpful in terms of driving your sales team to focus on the most important things. And at the bottom here, you'll see there's also a timeline. So you'll notice this all the way through Dynamics, not only in sales, but in marketing and customer service as well. So in this case, this is a meeting, and it's a financial plan that's scheduled for Mr. Rani. You can see here was a call with that customer, and here is an email. And if we open it out, you can see the detail of the mail and what was sent or received. So this is what we call activity management. It's a big part of a CRM system. As you can imagine from Microsoft, there's tight integration with things like Outlook. So I just open out my Outlook. I went to one of my customers that I'm currently working with, and I've opened up the Copilot for Sales button in my Outlook. And you'll see it gives me the ability to, for example, save that email to Dynamics. So that is what you would then see sitting in that email timeline back in Dynamics. Okay. It gives me quite a lot of other information as well, which is really handy. A summary of key information that might be helpful to me, the opportunities that we're currently working on, most recent communications, and go straight into the contact details in Dynamics from here, similarly with what we call the account, so the company behind it. And you'll see there's a collaborate in Teams button. So that's the other integration that you can imagine is very seamless in Dynamics coming from Microsoft. So this Teams button in Dynamics is now opening our Teams, and it's in the context of what I'm busy with. So this particular sales opportunity. And you'll see I've got what's called a connected chat. So this Teams chat is basically been created. I created it with my colleague Reza, and I've asked him for help in putting together a proposal for this project. This little card is generated automatically. So he, back in his Teams, will see this card and he'll be able to go straight into Dynamics and work with the information. And then the messages that we have back and forth is essentially linked directly to the sales opportunity. And again, this concept applies all the way through Dynamics, no matter whether you're engaging on a marketing campaign or helping the customer with a query or problem that they had. And obviously sales engagements too. It works with channels too. So if you have a whole sort of Teams channel with information for a particular deal you're working on or a particular client that you're working with, you can connect that whole channel directly in your Teams as well. So that's pretty handy. I don't know if you noticed this form assistant, but that's another AI feature that is worth highlighting. What Microsoft gives you is the ability now, if you're creating a sales opportunity, maybe it wasn't a lead that was generated through our website and they've actually phoned us and I'm the salesperson who's wanting to capture it. They might have given us some content, which I can just drop in here. Could be an email, could be a PDF document, could literally be a cut and paste of their website that I've used personally quite a bit. And it will populate the information that it can on the various fields back in Dynamics. So that's a really great way to kind of reduce some of the data capture effort. There's a few other AI bits that are worth mentioning here. One is when I was looking at this timeline, I don't know if you noticed, but it's given me a little summary of the whole opportunity with all of the key information. This little summary is obviously generated every time I open the opportunity. So as there's new engagement with that, or as fields of information change, maybe it moves out in terms of the deal cycle, all of that goes into that summary, which is really pretty handy stuff. The other Copilot that I wanted to mention is the AI helper that you've got for your salespeople to use themselves, right? So this one, and it's available in that marketing tool, by the way, as well. So, for example, I might say, so I've got a demo account in my system called Air Namibia. So I'm going to say I'd like all the latest news for Air Namibia, please. That's one of the things we can do. Basically, this AI helper, you'll see I've got a couple of different Air Namibias that it's picked up. So I'll just pick the first one. And you'll see it then gives me the latest news. So for example, yeah, Namibia is going to build a new national airline rather than revive Air Namibia. So that's kind of key important information if I was about to try and sell Air Namibia something. I don't know if you can see, there's also a button to say, show me the related files from SharePoint. So again, that'll search across our enterprise SharePoint to the files that I've got access to and see if there's any information that we might know about internally. There's other things we can do, such as might want to see my sales pipeline. This is available, by the way, sitting in things like Outlook. So I don't actually have to move into Dynamics. I can ask these questions anywhere I am as a salesperson with access to my sales copilot. And the important thing about this is it's got access to all of the information in my Dynamics. So it's actually telling me now in terms of the pipeline how this particular opportunity that I'm currently on is ranked in terms of this and other opportunities we've got with it. Okay, so it's pretty handy. Yeah, so obviously this Copilot has access to everything in my Dynamics. I'll show you in a little bit later how we can also adjust these Copilots. So for example, we might give it access to our knowledge base. It might be our brochureware, for example, covering all of the information about our products. And then basically our salespeople are able to ask questions here about our products, any specifics that they might need to know in terms of engaging with their customers. So really handy AI helper for them in the context of what they're doing and what they're busy with. The other set of features that is a little bit newer from Microsoft, some of these features are literally going into sort of production ready mode in October. They come out in sort of May in sort of public preview, and that's for us to start playing with and getting ready for. And what you'll notice, I've gone to not my open leads, but my closed leads. And I've got an example that I captured to kind of show you how this can work. And what you're going to see here is this particular lead has got a summary at the top, which shows you, first of all, the status of this is lost. Okay. And if you go into the timeline, you'll see that the sales qualification agent has closed this particular lead. And if I go into full research in the summary, you'll see that it's taking me into the lead research agent, an AI agent that has been configured. And I'll show you how I configured that in a minute. It's giving me the information that it's found about the company. And you'll see at the bottom, there is quite a lot more information that it gathered and that I can view and look at. And then it's told me that actually the company revenue and location are not a good match for our target market. The size and the role of the people involved are also not a good fit. And we've got no previous engagement with them and no sort of intent signals detected. So the AI has automatically determined that we shouldn't really be wasting our time with this particular opportunity. And how that has been configured, I'll just kind of show you what's there and on what else is there. So back in the settings of Dynamic Sales, you'll notice that, for example, there's this AI hub. And this is where I set up the capability. Don't need that video. Okay. And you'll see we've got an agent manager. So we can create and manage agents from here. I'd previously created one called my sales qualification agent. And this wizard is basically how I set that AI up. So you'll see I've ticked the research box, and this has allowed me to gather that research that you saw on the lead and pre-qualify it or disqualify it. There's also other options though. I can actually engage. So if I tick that engage option, we can have the AI determine the intent that the person is looking for in whatever they submitted on our website or in an email, determine the best follow-up response. So again, this is based on knowledge that we can give it. So our brochureware, email examples, templates, and it can actually then automatically engage with that customer on our behalf. So the AI agent will respond to the customer and say, thanks for your particular query. Here's the information you were looking for. I hope this is of interest. Let me know if it is, and I'll get one of our salespeople to deal with you. And through that whole engagement, we can do things like, so for example, here's the handoff criteria that I can just show you as one of the configurations I set up. So I basically set this up based on Mint's information. So our industries, I set up the size of company that we would typically be looking for, the roles that we would be speaking to, where geographically customers should be located for our target markets and their size company. So with this information, the AI was able to then do what you saw in terms of essentially disqualifying that lead. So this is a really exciting development by Microsoft. And I've got a slide which kind of just sums up the AI capabilities. Just make sure I get to the right place. There we go. And the sales agent is what you were looking at there, and what we were just in the part of the system where we might tailor and tweak and adjust that for our needs. And this is really the one that would allow you to have an autonomous agent that essentially acts on your behalf under the right criteria. So in other words, where, obviously if it determines that this is a customer in our target market, we really should be dealing with them. It will also know who to pass it to inside our sales team based on the information we've given the agent. So auto engagement, auto research. The sales chat is the one I showed you, where this is the helper for your sales team. Anything they want to ask, a proposal that we can't find on the system. We're pretty sure we spoke to that customer about a week ago. Where is that proposal? Or our product offering, does it have this unique feature that they're looking for? Or where are we with this deal? What's the latest information on that? All of that information. Okay, and then the sales research agent, let me actually quickly just show you what that does. So I'm going to go back to Dynamic Sales, and I am going to open my research agent. So this is very much for salespeople and sales managers. You'll see there is, again, the ability to ask any business-related question. You can type it in plain English. But what you could also do is you could see, for example, if we scroll along here, research opportunities for growth might be something I'm interested in. So it's given me a prompt, and the system is now going through using that prompt to generate the information that it thinks will be most helpful to me. And as you'll see in a minute, once these are generated, okay, that one actually, let me try regenerate. Okay, there we go. So it's going to generate now based on the data that is in. Okay, I see it has failed again. I'll show you in a minute. I've saved it. Just note this add data button as well, because that's very important. Let me have a look at that particular one. It was the sales execution, I think it was. So yeah, I generated these a little bit earlier today. I'm not sure why that one isn't. It never works in the demo, right? But I've pinned these ones and saved them, and you can see in this case what it's what my prompt was. assess the current sales execution and evaluate progress towards hitting my deals. And you'll see there's quite a rich set of information. It says there Roger Strain is the clear leader. I mean, of course, in terms of the sales. Some of my colleagues here have also got some demo data in this demo database, are doing a little bit less well. And then it's giving me actual versus targets, the sales pipeline by stage. I don't have too much data in terms of that. And then some real insights in terms of what we need to do to improve and plan better. So that is the sales research agent. Right. So that is really the key sales features. The next step now is to look at our customer service. And we've got another poll, haven't we? Do you want to cover that, Sageshi, or shall I fire away?
Please go ahead.
Great. So yeah, you should see another poll pop up. And we've got how much more does it cost on average to acquire a new customer than retain an existing one? So I guess if we've been talking about getting new customers, we're talking about marketing and sales. If we're talking about retaining existing customers, then we are naturally talking about customer service, hence the question. So 54% of you, it's gone down to 50, 44. Okay, it's going in the wrong direction. Yes, the answer is actually 6. So it is 6 times more cost effective to retain an existing customer than it is to acquire a new customer on average. That's pretty widely known research. So that kind of talks to the point about why we should have Dynamics customer service. And let's have a look at that now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you an example that we've done recently for a customer that's not in a financial services space, but actually in the public sector. And this is actually a police department. And we've got a scenario where our customer service that we're talking about here is actually the ability to have people give feedback and complaints about how we've been doing on our services to our citizens. And the first thing you'll see, this is actually a customer self-service portal. It's part of the Dynamics 365 stack. It's our Power Pages portal. So if you have an existing customer-facing website, then this would be what you would be seeing. And if you don't, then we have one that we can implement for you in Dynamics. And one of the features of it, as you probably noticed, is this capability to do an online chat. This widget you can put on your own website as well, by the way. And what you can do with that is we've configured a bot. And the bot behind there allows us to do things like, for example, say, all right, so we want to lodge a complaint, and the system is telling us I need to give an email address. Did it spell it right? Okay, so it's asking for my ID number, and actually in our case, this is to confirm if we have, in my case, my details already. So it's checking the database. And it allows us then to carry on and lodge a complaint. I'm going to go for the option where it's going to give me step-by-step questions. And so we go on. So now we can put in, say, the email address of a complainant, and it's going to continue to ask me the questions. One of the features of this, or how we've configured the bot, is it would allow us to also to say, I noticed previously it didn't necessarily understand what I was asking the first time, so I'm going to just try one more time there. Okay, it's still doing that. Actually, we've got a specific topic that we are looking for, and I'm just trying to find in my notes now. I think, yeah, let me try that. I think it was speak to an agent. And one of the reasons I want to show you this example, if it doesn't do it, then I will move on. Okay, no, it's not actually going to do it. But what I was expecting to happen there is that it's what we call bot handover to agent. And what should be happening if I type it using what we configured, uh, then what will actually happen is the agent back in Dynamics Customer Service, you can see I'm ticked as green here. What would actually happen is I might be assigned this customer who's online and has got queries, and this would come into the system as what we could call a case. So this customer service case is really the key aspect behind Dynamics Customer Service. So based on all the information that either the bot had gathered or that we gather now when we're dealing with our customer, and I mean, we might have many other channels by which customers can come in. They might be phoning, they might email us, they might have lodged something on our website, and all of this would be able to then come in to be a case. And in this case, you'll notice some familiar things from when we were looking at the sales process. We've got a business process flow that takes us through the process of lodging a complaint. So in their case, this is a very specific process to determine, for example, when screening this, is it within the mandate of this particular department or not, is one of the things. There's a rich set of information then that allows us to input who this person is and what they're complaining about. We've got a service level agreement, for example. Both of these we've missed our deadline for both the first response and by when we need to resolve this particular problem by. So that's really bad. And by monitoring the service level agreements, we make sure that our service staff are delivering optimal customer service to our customers. So that we can, for example, flag to a team leader or a manager to make sure that they understand what went wrong and try and fix that issue. And then similarly on the right here, you'll notice all of the engagement like we had in the sales process. There's a task, there's an email, all of that engagement is held together against that particular customer service case. We can get the highlights of the AI generated summary of everything that's been discussed so far. I mean, this is really handy in the real world when we might have lots of engagement about a particular issue, and we might be following up from 2 days ago and quite can't remember exactly what was all discussed. This little summary would be exactly what we need. As you'd expect, there's little helpers as well for our customer service staff. In this case, you can see there is a knowledge article, which actually guides us. It's being recommended by AI in terms of this particular issue. If there were previous cases, might be that this customer actually lodged this yesterday and now is doing so again today. This would tell me that information. It would tell me similar cases. And there's also an AI helper, a Copilot for the customer service facing staff. So for example, yeah, if they need help, they can put in questions. Again, the knowledge behind this is actually a knowledge example from this real example for this customer, is now being served up to the agent. So they're fully empowered to be able to handle all of the responses from their clients. Okay. Yeah, as you can expect, there's then a rich set of dashboarding capabilities that allows a manager or the agent themselves to then stay on top of how many cases are coming in, whether they're on track in terms of our service level agreements, where from within our clients are they most coming, which channel, all of the analytics they might need to make sure that we're offering the right level of customer service. The other feature that, again, is a little bit newer is really a pretty exciting development by Microsoft. And for this, I'm going to go into the admin center where a lot of the settings behind Dynamics Customer Service are set up. And one of them is this Agent Hub. And again, a little bit like the sales one, there's the ability to set up, in this case, it's a rollout plan of the agents. I've got a demo one which we can edit. And you'll see here, it's giving me the ability to set up a customer intent agent. If I go next, you'll see it then gives me all of the settings. So the business rules that are behind each of these. A case resolution agent. So this is around case management and, for example, giving help to agents as they're completing a case. Based on everything that has happened, the system is going to recommend the information should be stored in terms of how this gets resolved. Creating cases, following them up, automating some of the follow-up for you, actually generating outbound emails and calls to be recommended for customers. And then a knowledge management agent. So basically harvesting as we complete a case for a customer and we indicate what we've done to solve their problem, the system can generate suggested enhancements to our existing knowledge base articles based on some unique nuance in that particular scenario that got solved, or actually creating whole new articles so that agents next time are empowered with how to solve the problem. Or on our self-service channels, so in that bot scenario, for example, the bot is using that knowledge to actually help customers. So in other words, over time, the bot is going to get smarter and smarter just through all of the questions that customers have been asking and all of the help that we've been giving and the knowledge that we've been gathering through the AI agents. That's pretty amazing stuff. So that slide kind of just summarizes the key AI capabilities that I've shown there. So I didn't mention intent necessarily, but that's one of the key aspects is based on the incoming customer service. What is this about? That determines who we should send it to in terms of the help we need to give them internally. I mentioned the knowledge harvesting, and I mentioned some of the case management, helping agents resolve cases, update them, follow up with them, and so on. So we've got a little bit of time left, and I wanted to show you a little bit more under the hood. So we've spoken about the sales services, the marketing, sales, and customer service processes that we've enabled in this CRM. Back in the back end of Dynamics, we've got Power Apps. And actually, this is how Dynamics was created using Power Apps. Okay, so and similarly, companies like Mint or even some of our customers can use Power Apps to adjust and amend and tailor them. So some of the specific things that you saw about a process for a particular industry or for a particular client, this has been configured using the Power Platform and this Power Apps. And you might notice that I can actually create a Power App entirely through a prompt. Or, for example, add a file. So I might have a PowerPoint with a layout of what we want to create in terms of an app. And we can actually then create the entire app through a prompt. Ultimately, this comes down to the kind of configuration that you're going to see here. So, for example, we ultimately end up with these tables that are in Dynamics. So when we were looking at the information in the system, let's just open one of these, which is an account, for example. All of the, for example, columns of information, the actual fields that you saw on the screens is all configured here. So we might be able to go and create, actually that's a key, not a column. Let me just go to the right one. There is a column. Okay, and we can create a column and we can decide this particular field is a text field or a number or a date. Okay, so we've got full control. We can change the labels of these. And then we can do things like create the forms, the screens that you saw, lay them out so they're user-friendly for your users. all of the views and charts and dashboards. So you'll see there's actually a bit of a preview of some of the data that's sitting in this particular table as well below here. And again, this is what we could then generate entirely through the AI. But there's other AI. So this AI hub allows us to get access to a whole range of capabilities from an AI point of view, over and above what Microsoft has packaged up for you as part of the marketing or the sales or the customer service apps. So we can create our own AI capabilities and processes using the Power Platform. And just to show you, we talk about Power Platform. This kind of gives you a view of some of the other capabilities. You might use Power Automate to configure workflows, for example, emailing people when something happens, alerting them with a Teams notification. Analytics in Power BI, some of those views that I showed you are those. I mentioned the portal product, but one that I wanted to mention is Copilot Studio. And Copilot Studio is a really key one when it comes to AI. And actually, a lot of the AI that I've been showing you is configured and configurable back in Copilot Studio. Microsoft calls this their UI for AI. And I wanted to show you, for example, Copilot in sales. Might have missed that. I think it is actually this one. Yeah, okay, I think it's this one that I wanted to show you. All of those are editable, and we can obviously create our own ones. Okay, sorry, that isn't a good example. I'll show you. Let's pick one of these here. Oh, there it is, Copilot in Dynamic Sales. That's actually the one that I wanted to show you. So you'll actually notice it pop up on the right here in terms of the sort of preview of your agent. This is the one when I was in Dynamic Sales and I had the helper for the salesperson. This is the one that I was looking at. And what this is on the left here is where I can go in and edit that. So these are all the prompts, the instructions that are given to the agent, so that it's basically giving it everything it needs to do what it did for us. But you'll notice, for example, we can go in and give it additional knowledge, for example. So we can go and add maybe a SharePoint location with all of our company brochureware, for example. And that knowledge is then going to empower this particular bot or agent to help our sellers answer any question about all of our products. This is also the capability where we configured that self-service bot when we had our person who was trying to lodge a complaint with the police department as well. Okay. Yeah. So there is literally AI all over Dynamics 365, and it is really what is empowering that whole customer journey through from the engaging with customers through marketing, convincing them to become customers during our sales processes, and making sure that they get the optimal service and stay with us to be lifelong customers of our products. All right. I see we've got another poll.
Should be our last one.
Excellent. Fantastic. So yeah, let us know if you would like help and in what area, and we'll be sure to reach out to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Roger. And thank you everyone for joining us today. We hope you're leaving with a better understanding of how AI and Dynamics 365 can simplify your work, improve customer connections, and drive real results. I see we've got, oh, I thought it was a question, but I think it was a high five. There aren't any questions I saw, but you'll get the recording of today's session soon, and you can replay any sections or share them with your colleagues. But before we go, we want to share what's happening next month. Our next webinar will be the future of Microsoft licensing, why CSP matters now. It's a really big one, especially if you're looking to make smarter, more cost-effective licensing decisions for your organization. I will put the link to register in the chat. And until then, thank you for spending the hour with us, and we'll see you next month. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks all.